So welcome everyone, and thank you for being here today. We are talking to all of you, and you are part of the Indigenous Peoples Committee Grafton. And we're going to be talking about having Indigenous people being voted in your town. So please feel free to introduce yourselves and tell us, why this is important to you and why are you in favor of replacing Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples Day. And I'm going to start with Lisa, if that's all right.
Well, sure. I'm happy to start, but I just want to say that Julie and Amar are the brains behind the operation, and I'm really excited to be here to support what they have to say. I'm a citizen of Grafton and a resident here since for the last 16 years. And I'm really interested in supporting diversity and anti-racism in our town. And we have a wonderful history, which our elementary school, middle school, and high school students have been educated on well, I think. And I think we're at a point that we have to reconsider what we're doing when we're celebrating Columbus Day. So I'm all for celebrating Italian Americans in our community, but this holiday at this point has become hurtful. And especially here in Grafton, where we have such a wonderful history of our town starting as a Native American place, we, not even before, it was formally incorporated as Hessen-Messet, there were obviously Native peoples living in this region. But even after colonization with whites coming here, it was a Native American city. And I think it doesn't suit us to keep celebrating Columbus Day, which has been hurtful to so many people. So, the holiday was started in 1937. We haven't had it forever. And, it's not something that's written in stone that we're being bad Americans if we reconsider. And I think, in fact, we're being very kind to our Native neighbors and the history of this place to reconsider this at this time.
Wow. So thank you, Lisa. How about you, Amar? What do you think?
Yeah, so my name is Amar Clark, and I've been living in town since 2009. I have 3 small children who are growing up here. And, really, I think that my motivation in bringing this forward to town meeting was to kind of emphasize the types of holidays that we want to celebrate as a community. So I think that the celebrations that we have and the emphasis that we put on different celebrations really reflects on who we are as a people, as a collective people. And I think that by celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day, I think that we're really amplifying the voices and the culture of the Native American people that lived and continue to live in our town. And hopefully this will translate into, and I think it already has translated into, some positive educational experiences for both our children and the adults that live in town, and really just changing kind of the focus of that day. Now, I want to emphasize that nobody is telling anybody what they should celebrate on this day off. People can be free to celebrate whatever they would like. We're just, by bringing this forward, we're saying that, as a town of Grafton, we would prefer to have Indigenous Peoples Day on our calendar than Columbus Day.
And Julie, please do weigh in.
Hi, Julie Feeney. We are all actually members of Grafton Racial Inclusion and Social Equity, Grafton Rise. And this article came about because one of our members approached us when looking at the town holiday and saying, really looking at these holidays, this doesn't fit who we are as a town. We can do better than this. And so I'm new to Grafton. Our family is new to Grafton, not new to Massachusetts. born and raised in, mostly in Boston. And I do feel that this is us taking responsibility for history and getting on the right side of history. I feel like when my toddler grows up and goes to school, I would love for us to be able to build connections with Nipmuc leaders. They very much support this. And when we first started Grafton Rise, one of the first issues that we saw was the mascot change. And that was very contentious. And people who are lifelong residents in new people maybe have very strong feelings either way about, what symbol represents Grafton. And what we saw or heard over and over again was, we're proud of our Native heritage. And, after speaking with Nipmuc leaders, they very much do support Indigenous Peoples Day as the way that they wish to be represented. And I think as a town, we have a responsibility to represent and celebrate our heritage in this way.
Awesome. And I think Daniel just logged in. Hello, Daniel.
Hey. Hi.
Hello there.
Can you hear me? I might have some trouble with my video.
No, we can hear you. We were just talking about why all of you are in favor of voting in Indigenous Peoples Day to replace Columbus Day. So my next question is, how do you feel about the 2-day solution? Which would mean sharing the day. So celebrating both Columbus Day and Indigenous Peoples Day on the same day. How do you all feel about that? Lisa, Julie, would you like to start first?
Sure. I feel very strongly that is not a great solution. That's not a great fit for us. As Amar was alluding to earlier, like what's on our town calendar shows what our values are. As a Jewish American, I think the comparison might be celebrating German heritage on Holocaust Remembrance Day. What Columbus did when he, discovered America was he basically eradicated a lot of people that were already here, and I do feel, my son is a quarter Italian, and we, as this is not my heritage, it is a shared heritage. Now I've come to learn a lot about, different customs that my family didn't grow up having. And I am very excited to learn about Italian American Heritage Month, in which we can look and examine Italian Americans who are worthy of respect and appreciation. And I don't think, a 2-holiday celebration is the solution. I feel like it doesn't erase the pain that's been caused, and it doesn't really celebrate, again, who we are as a town.
And Daniel, would you like to weigh in for that?
Yeah, I would definitely echo that. I mean, for me, I've never really understood the point of Columbus Day. And if it is to celebrate Italian culture and heritage, which absolutely should be celebrated. I come from New York City, a great center of Italian culture. I think that there are other ways to do it. There are other heroes that could be celebrated to acknowledge Italian culture and heritage. It doesn't have to be Christopher Columbus, who's caused so much pain and suffering here in the Americas.
Amar, your thoughts?
Yeah, and I think that, the majority of the holidays that we celebrate in this country celebrate a group of people, right? They celebrate they celebrate veterans, or they celebrate, an ethnic group or whatever. So I think that by celebrating a single person, I just don't think that really fits in with the other holidays that we have on the calendar. And instead of celebrating the single person, I think that it would be better for us to celebrate perhaps the culture and history behind the events that took place when the white culture came to the United States.
Lisa?
Well, back in 1937, when we put this holiday in place, it may have made a lot of sense. So we were seeing a lot of anti-Catholic backlash in the cities. And there was, an idea that this holiday would really help that. But since 1937, in 1960, we elected our first Catholic president of the United States in John F. Kennedy, here coming from Massachusetts. And we understand that we're really proud of Catholic Americans and, of course, Italian Americans. And I think we're in a different place. So I don't think a two holiday solution is a good one. And I think that we shouldn't do anything officially that is hurtful, very hurtful to other people. Now we understand much better than we did in 1937, the legacy of Columbus. And, he led with, basically stealing things from the Taino people of Hispaniola. That's what he called it. He kidnapped them and took them back to Europe. He enslaved them for his own use. Celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day alongside Columbus seems wrong to me.
So here's a question for you. How would replacing the existing Columbus Day for that second week in October, that date, how would that benefit, and replacing it to Indigenous Peoples Day, how would that benefit the town of Grafton? Let's see, Amar, would you like to start?
Yeah, I think that really changing the day on the calendar is, it's not going to affect anything in terms of payroll or anything like that. But I think that what it will affect is where we put our focus when we start to celebrate this holiday. Every time we have a long weekend on our calendar, it's a chance to stop and reflect on the thing that holiday represents. And in this case, I think that we want to kind of shift the focus from, kind of the conquest of America to the people that have always been in America. And that's really kind of the root of it for me.
Daniel?
Yeah, I think that I don't think that anything would be lost by replacing this holiday, but I think a lot would have to be gained, especially considering the history of our town as a praying Indian village, and just I think that the presence of the Nipmuc people today. I think this is a chance for a great healing and a chance for community building by having a holiday that really mattered to people in a way that Columbus Day just doesn't. It doesn't to me.
Right, Julie?
I think all of us in the group, I mean, I guess I shouldn't speak on behalf of everyone, but I can speak definitely on behalf of me and my family. I think we really view this as a chance to get to know leaders in our community. We speak quite frequently, actually, to Grandma Cheryl Tony Holly, who is the leader of the Nipmuc people. And I think there's a real opportunity to be had to build connections with our Native community. They're still here, and and I feel like in the interactions that I have with the Nipmuc leaders, I learn a lot, and that is something that I feel like should be treasured and elevated and really appreciated. Recently, our school committee did a wonderful thing, and they, on our school calendar, changed Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day. And I think there's such a great opportunity, a learning opportunity in our schools to be had. And I think this, aligns our town calendar with the school committee school calendar. And I think it's the right step to take for our town.
And Lisa?
So taking this step is not a really radical thing to do. The country of Venezuela made this step in 1991. So we're 30 years behind Venezuela in this way. And for South America and Central America, Columbus Day and celebrating his heritage was even a more strong connection because of the Spanish roots of those places. I mean, we have Spanish roots here in the United States, but really the English roots have dominated. So I think if Venezuela could do it 30 years ago, I think we can do it now. And I do think that it really behooves Grafton not to be the last place to sign up for this change, but to be an earlier adopter of this idea, given our heritage. It's really wonderful to think about people living peacefully together. And in Hessen-Ameset, a town that was dedicated to safe living for Native Americans, that could have been a great solution. Instead, after King Philip's War, Hessen-Ameset really fell apart. A lot of the land was given to whites and sold to whites. And there's just that little piece of land that is now the Hessen-Ameset reservation. And every time I go by and I see that sign that, and I don't know if this is disputed, but really that this is the only place in America that was never controlled by white colonists. That's a pretty special indication of what has happened here in Hessen-Nemesis/Grafton. And I really think we should be ahead of this curve and be really learning about our past.
Awesome. And do any of you have any other thoughts and anything else you'd like to add to the discussion today?
I just want to say I couldn't agree more with what Lisa just said.
Yes, I have a request to voters to please come out on June 5th to the high school, make your voice heard. If you have interest in getting involved, look on Grafton Rise, the Facebook page. We also have a website if you dig deep in Google's history, and you can sign up for text messages if you want to join us on the day of the vote. But we really need you to make your voice heard and to stand up for what's right and support our Native community. And we, appreciate your consideration, and we hope you'll come out and you'll vote.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us today on Chatting It Up. This is great to have you on, and wonderful to hear your voices.